Hello beloved Twin Flames, this is Stephanie Parasha, Divine Light, coming out to you from New Zealand, Aotearoa. Happy New Year 2018 and happy super full moon, and hello, welcome to my first video of 2018. I have been kind of waiting in a way for the energies to settle down a little so that I could bring this video to you with as much information as I can, because I've been, it's all been sort of integrating and filtering through and wanting to get it out to you as clearly as possible. So the really big energy that I'm feeling is for those that have chosen the path of the light worker and have awakened into their knowing and awareness that we are really stepping into the new right now. So the new is what it is all about, the way in which we communicate, the way in which we talk, and the language we use, the way in which we operate in terms of our functioning, how we think, how we speak, how we act, how we feel, is going through one of the most biggest sort of radical changes that I've ever felt on this path. For obviously those that have committed and stepped onto their path will be feeling this more than others and really seeing, more than ever, the clear difference between the old and the new. So I'll give you a little bit of an energy report first, and then I've actually done a reading because I was wanting to get a little bit more clarity for Twin Flames, because there are, as the energies shift and change and the transformations occur, it does create some swirliness as well, which means sometimes it's hard to ground in and feel what's really going on, because it's such a mixed bag of energies as the old is being released and the new is anchoring in. So that is still very much going on, but the two big energies that have really pushed we've let go of and are really showing up now are sacrifice and suffering. So those two energies that have really been weighing us down on the planet. I really noticed this particularly with the older generation when during Christmas time when I was with my family, which was pretty challenging to say the least. But that's what happens when families come together and we reactivate some of our childhood wounds. And anyway, so what I saw was, my mother very much in that mode of operating where, you do what's the done thing for the family, and you sort of sacrifice your own needs, because you've got to do the cooking, you've got to do the cleaning, and so on and so on. And so, many, particularly women, have been trained to do that, and then of course fall into kind of a martyr state of, but I do everything and nobody does anything to help me, and you become victimized and you feel as if you haven't got a choice, and that leads to suffering not only for yourself but for others. So I've seen a lot of those patterns playing out for people. The other energy actually that I'm getting is another S. So there's three S's: sacrifice, suffering, and slavery is another one, where people have felt very much enslaved. Either, the purest form of slavery is obviously very much against somebody's will, where you're kept and captured and enslaved and chained and feel as if you've got no choice. But nowadays those shackles aren't very obvious, yet they're still very much there energetically. So people are feeling enslaved to their jobs. I'm feeling a lot of people feeling that they're not happy in their jobs and really wanting to just leave and change what they're doing and go on their own path and follow their heart and into businesses and not even businesses. It's kind of like, they don't even want me to use that word, because again, that is an old paradigm word that we used. But people following their hearts and following their intuition and following their integrity and doing what they love to do and offering their gift to the world in a way that aligns with true source love and light and is benefiting humanity and the planet. So we're being called more and more to move into those ways of operating, and that is another big shift that's been going on and is continuing. So those three energies leaving us, as I sat down to do the reading, they talked to me again about the polarities and how we have polarized in this duality system where we have, one extreme or the other, but we're our role as twin flames and light workers is to be balancing those polarities and bringing into more of a middle way. So where you feel that things have got out of balance, or our perspective has become lost or confused in some of the old beliefs that are very much out of balance and out of alignment with our heart and our love and our light and humanitarian and the planet, we look to where we can bring those into more alignment. One of the biggest things on the twin flame journey that I've seen, and I've often not been quite clear about how to talk to this, but has become more clear for me, is how we divide the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Again, that is another polarization, and it's another 3D old paradigm overlay that we are overlaying onto the twin flame. What I'm being asked to bring in and to offer to you is for us to think about that not in a way where the feminine and masculine are divided, that we actually, what we're dividing is the old ways and the new ways. So they're saying that within the masculine and the feminine there are two old ways of operating, the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine, where the wounded feminine goes into, this is very basic, I'm just giving a basic example, can tend to go into victim and powerlessness, subjugation, suppression, and the wounded masculine goes into power and control and manipulation and those types of things. Those can happen on either side. So I'm saying that we can no longer use those terms, because that within the masculine and the feminine there are aspects that are old. And so when we're talking about the new, we're coming into new ways of being within those roles, but yet they're not so clearly defined. They're becoming a lot more fluid in the way that, because of course some of the other damaging polarization of masculine and feminine are the damaging stereotypes that we've been asked to, and roles that we're trained to play and conditioned to play according to our genders, which again are very damaging to both genders. So I'd really encourage us to think more fluidly in this way, because twin flames are all about balancing the masculine and the feminine within, and then bringing that together in a beautiful alchemy, so we come together with that marriage within ourselves, that union of the masculine and the feminine, where we're balanced in our energies, we're using both of the polarities in a balanced way, in a healthy way, and then we come together in a way when we join in relationships with others that have also done the same within themselves. So they asked me to do a reading, which I have got a photo of there that I'm putting up. And I'm away on holiday at the moment, and I haven't returned back to my home, so I'm just actually staying in the home of my parents, and they're not here at the moment, so I've got a bit of quiet time, and I've got access to Wi-Fi. So I only had one deck of cards with me that were my traditional deck, and I went through some of my old boxes and found a really old tarot deck that I used early back in the day when I was in my teens dabbling with tarot, and used that deck as a confirmation. So they asked me to do one row which represents the old energies, one row which represents the new energies for twin flames, and one energy row that represents the energy of the coming together and how we're going to achieve that, and then the clarifying row, which is the traditional tarot there that I've got. So and then of course it came a little bit out of order. So when I said to them, well, that doesn't seem right to me, the order, they said, yeah, because this is all about not following the traditional path. We've really got to get off where we followed traditions. We really need to question ourselves. Is this, am I just doing this unconsciously in a traditional way, in a way that I've been trained to do, or am I really consciously thinking each step of the way and tuning in to the situation according to what's in the now moment? So in the now moment, when I laid them out, what they said was, we do things differently. So we when we're in the new, we do things almost what we'd see as being back to front in the old way. But so it's just to get a different perspective. So the column on the right is representing the old energies. So the old energies of twin flame, the twin flame light worker path, were there we've got a mixture of it's sort of hopes and wishes. So it's kind of, in a way, a little bit of being in a fantasy world. We're sort of a little bit caught up with where we were at with the twin flame, thinking it was a romance, and that we were meant to be aligning with our one true love, and getting sort of caught up in that way where we were just wishing and hoping and waiting. And yet at the same time we were wondering why it wasn't happening, and many of us were getting tired of waiting and getting angry, and yet at the same time living in this kind of false hope, I guess, of, but this imaginary situation that actually, many of us had to get out of that fantasizing part, which, I'm not saying don't visualize, and I'm a big one for having hope at the same time, because I often do my videos around the hope of, what's to come. However, for many of us, we'd often spend many days just sitting and waiting and hoping, and not really getting on with what we're meant to be getting on with. So we had to cross through a lot of our own self-judgments, society's judgments, a lot of the fears. We got the clarion call to come up and, do the work and really look at what we were holding on to that was holding us back from true love, the stuff that was, many of us found buried beneath deep layers of, those iceberg layers right down in the surface where we couldn't see them in the subconscious. So much of that was coming up to the surface. So that's just kind of an overview of what's been going on this year. So then we move into, I'm going to jump across to the new energies of what's coming through for us. Got some beautiful cards. I got the most amazing layout, and I was like, yay. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, actually that is what we've been hoping for. So we got the Knight of Cups, which I believe does represent the divine masculine, in as much as I've talked about not polarizing genders, the divine masculine in terms of that offering of love and being willing to step into the path of love, and the masculine being the parts of within the feminine also, and within the male body, whatever body you're holding, that part of us that feels that it's ready to take the path of love and to take the heart path. And yet, funnily enough, it's the male that comes with that energy of love, and the feminine there, the Queen of Swords, who's holding more of the mind and the mental side of things. So we're being asked to swap that around, I guess, in a way. Again, this is this kind of back to front way of looking at things, where the masculine's always been considered more of a male, logical, thinking, practical, scientific, and using your mind. Now we're being asked to use our mind to become more in our hearts and feminine. So again, it's that very much a balance of the heart and the mind, the masculine and the feminine within. So we've got those two cards there coming through very clearly. Again, using our intuition more, using our mind to access our intuition and our spiritual, using our mind to bring forth the spiritual, to bring forth the heart thoughts, the heart mind. So, again, really blending those two together. And there in the middle, we have the beautiful Lovers. We have what we've always wanted. We have it right there, and it's right here for us, and it's there. I mean, it's in the reading. It came up, the Lovers card. Shuffled, here they are. Here's the cards. So this is what we're doing. This is the energies of how the year is going to be for us. So I very much feel with it being, I know it's an 11 year when we add it all up, which is a beautiful synchronistic number for many twin flames. We've also got the beautiful 8, and I have seen that number come through for me this year a lot with the union. The 8 is when I first merged spiritually, also physically with my twin flame in the physical. When we merged spiritually, we were together in the physical. We were sitting together, we were playing music together, we were out in nature beside a fire, we were playing music, and our souls merged. At that time, it was the most beautiful experience of my life, and even to talk about it now, it makes my heart just go, as you know, twin flames, our hearts have really kind of expanded and blown out to all proportions through this journey, and I saw the figure 8, the twin flame eternity symbol that merged our hearts together. So what a beautiful symbol. We've got the 8 there this year, helping us incredibly to create union. And they've also told me to mention that on the 18th or any 8 numbers that line up throughout the year with the 8s in them, and according to the chronological date, are very powerful portals and gateways and energetic activation zones that we can use to activate our union energy. So to use those dates that come up throughout the year, particularly 8, 11, 18, they're saying, so that's the 8th of November 18, that's how we use it, say the dates. Obviously the 8-8 Lionsgate is going to be big this year with all the 8s coming in again, lining up. The 11-11-18 is going to be big, and any other 8 and 18 dates, really look out for those this year. They're liking me to use the word activate, activation. Activation is a really key buzzword to use this year in terms of the new paradigm language that's going to activate our hearts and to really, take the time to sit and meditate and activate yourselves constantly. Be using those energies, activate. Listen to downloaded material that's positive and uplifting and high vibration and high frequency, that's going to lift you up and make you feel activated. And so within that, we have the middle row there, which represents how we're going to be grounding this into the earth plane. So again, we have must remember that although we're on a spiritual journey, that requires a lot of time and dedication to the spiritual aspect, which can often involve very much being still and calm, meditating, healing ourselves. We also need to balance that out with bringing that onto the earth plane and anchoring in the energies within our families and communities. And within our own physical bodies. So there we have the Knight of Pentacles below there, which to me represents anchoring that energy onto the earth plane very much, bringing in the spiritual energies into, it's also about protecting nature. So Twin Flames and Lightworkers predominantly have a very strong connection usually with the earth in terms of needing very much strong protection of the elements, the waterways, the airways, environmental connections there, needing to be in nature, not trying to, it's going to be hard for those that need to live in cities at this time because the energies are going to be difficult. I'm seeing a lot of people spiraling, needing to release a lot of energies from being in cities, anxieties and tensions and things like that. So it's going to be very important to anchor that in to nature, to be anchored into nature. The Four of Pentacles is about it's traditionally a miserly card. It sort of talks about they're holding on to money. But what I would say is that a lot of that is about the old ways of earning money. So we're now leaving those old ways where we thought we had to earn money in a certain way. There's new forms of abundance, and I'm pretty sure many of you have been feeling the new energy of the new paradigm currency that's coming in, which is always very much based on love and light. I've always been told that, and I've never really fully understood it till, quite recently I've been practicing that technique of when we are in integrity, when we are in our full truth and our love and our light within what we are doing with our work on the planet, abundance will naturally flow towards us because we are, we're not in that space where we feel obligated or tied up, or we're putting our energies into organisations and businesses and structures that are based on deceit or false practice, or practices that are damaging to humans or the planet. We cannot be participating in those energies anymore. So this is another confirmation that we'll be receiving money from other sources, that again, just being balanced with our money. We are able to now, with the four is an anchoring energy, a stabilized energy, stabilizing our finances in order for us to bring in these new energies. We've got the Two of Swords there, so in many ways, many of us will still feel a little bit caught between the two worlds. A lot of lightworkers have felt that way very much particularly over the last 5 years, as the new paradigm is coming into the earth, that we've often felt we've had to transcend the different dimensions at times, and still many feel that pull, but it will feel much more clear to you which energy you're operating in now. and to come more into that balance of, again, what we talked about with the twin flame energy, of the balance of the heart and the mind, the heart-mind. So, yeah, just to clarify that, we got some clarifying cards, which were the Seven of Pentacles, which I see as harvest coming to fruition. Your hard work is paying off. You've planted your seeds, you've grown up your crop, and now you're ready to harvest that beautiful crop and tend to it. And seven is a very spiritual number, so you're being supported very much by spirit, because you're utilizing the tools, the spiritual tools, to gain access to the higher realms and higher levels of functioning on the earth plane. So gifts and rewards in the material realm. Six of Cups, I like to interpret this as being a really positive card, especially for twin flames. It's full. Cups are full of love, joy, abundance. So really good, positive, confirming messages there for twin flames. Just beautiful messages and confirmation of the positivity that is lying ahead of us this year, the more we step into our mission and journey. Again, another clarifying card there, the world. So really very much a global network, feeling our connection as a whole group. Very many of us have connected now via wonderful YouTube and Facebook, and connecting in globally. I will be on the move from late February this year. I am actually pretty much at this point, I've been sitting on the fence as to whether this move for me is going to be a short visit over to India or a longer visit, whether I'm going to tie things up here in New Zealand for a little while and go for an extended period. And I'm very much being given the signal from Spirit that this is to be a longer visit, and that I'm going to be tying things up here in New Zealand for an extended period. So exciting times for me, and looking at new business opportunities in India, and being guided very much to focus more on my role as a twin flame healer and a twin flame guide, in terms of being able to bring through energies and share those with others from my heart, for the full purpose of healing each other, and supporting each other. So and I hope that you will also feel that call to whatever it is that you feel you need to do on this path as well. So that's pretty much summing up at this point. I don't want to make this too long. The overall energy for what's going on currently and what we have to come ahead for us on my own twin flame path, and my own journey, still very much connected to my twin flame. We are very much in contact, and we're establishing nice connections with each other. I still continue to get really good positive signs and messages that we are heading in the right direction, although be it, some would say, oh, it's taking too long, or it's a little bit slow. At times I can feel myself go into that, but no, I know everything is on point, exactly as it's meant to be. So long as I continue to stay in my heart, stay in my truth, and be prepared to do that, continue to do that inner work, and to trust, of course, and to surrender and let go of all of those old energies that we no longer need as we step into the very much new at this time. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, and I want to send you out a whole lot of love and light, and I will be in touch with you very soon again. Okay, bye for now.